Emma Carter woke up with a splitting headache, the kind that felt like someone was banging a drum inside her skull. Sunlight streamed through thin curtains, stabbing her eyes, and she groaned, pressing a hand to her forehead. "I swear, no more drinking," she muttered, her voice hoarse. "At least not this month." But as her vision cleared, a worse realization hit her. This wasn't her bed. The room was huge, with crisp white sheets that screamed five-star hotel vibes and a faint woody scent from the fancy furniture. She bolted upright, clutching her throbbing head, trying to piece together what the hell happened last night. The farewell party for her old coworker flashed in her mind. Wine, too much of it. Someone yelling about a game called One Shot, One Secret, and then nothing. Her memory just stopped, like a tape cut off mid-scene. "Am I kidnapped?" she whispered, her heart pounding like it might jump out of her chest. She scanned the room. No ropes, no duct tape, but also no sign of her purse or phone. Panic set in for real when she heard water running from the bathroom, followed by a guy's low humming. Her bare feet hit the cold floor as she leapt out of bed, eyes darting for anything to defend herself. A small pair of scissors on the dining table nearby caught her eye. She grabbed it, holding it up like some clumsy warrior, her pulse racing. "If I'm going down today, I'm taking the bastard with me," she hissed under her breath. The bathroom door swung open and a tall guy stepped out, dark hair dripping wet, a towel slung loose around his hips. He froze, staring at Emma with zero shock, like he'd seen this kind of thing a million times. If anything, he looked bored. "What are you planning to do with those scissors?" he asked, his deep voice so calm it could have been a weather report. Emma's hands shook as she pointed the makeshift weapon at him. "Don't come any closer. Who are you? Where am I? What did you do to me last night?" He raised an eyebrow, folding his arms across his chest, muscles flexing in a way that made her even more nervous. "Relax," he said. "I'm the one who dragged you out of a bar corner after you passed out mumbling nonsense to yourself. This is my place." Emma blinked, her brain struggling to catch up. "Mumbling nonsense? I don't remember a thing." The guy, Nathan Hayes, though she didn't know his name yet, sighed and brushed past her like she was invisible, heading for the closet. "You also spilled beer all over my shirt," he said, pulling out a crisp dress shirt. "If anyone's the victim here, it's me." Her jaw dropped, the scissors dipping in her hand. "Spilled beer? Wait, you didn't just dump me somewhere? Why am I even here?" He started buttoning his shirt with quick, practiced moves. "You were too drunk to tell me where you lived, and you latched onto my arm like a damn leech. Your phone was dead, and I'm not a private investigator. I wasn't about to hunt down your stuff at 2 a.m. Emma stood there, speechless, her face burning with embarrassment. Every word he said was like a punch to her ego. He grabbed a coffee mug from the counter, took a sip, and glanced at her. "You should go. I've got a meeting soon." She nodded, still dazed, muttering a weak "thanks, I guess," as she stumbled around for her shoes, avoiding his unreadable stare. She swore she'd never see this smug jerk again, but life, it turns out, had other plans. After that mortifying morning, Emma Carter vowed to hit the reset button on her life. She stood in front of the bathroom mirror at Haven Designs, her new workplace, smoothing her hair and tugging her skirt into place. "Come on, Emma," she muttered to her reflection. "You're a kick-ass interior designer, not some drunk mess clinging to a stranger's arm. Today's a fresh start. Be sharp. Be professional." She just landed a gig at this hotshot design firm and she was dead set on making a killer first impression. No more screw-ups. With a deep breath, she grabbed her coffee and strode into the meeting room, flashing a confident smile at her new coworkers. The vibe was electric, everyone buzzing about the big project ahead. She settled into a chair, popped open her laptop, and told herself, "I've got this. No one's outshining Emma Carter today." The HR director burst in, a middle-aged woman with a grin she couldn't hide. "All right, everyone, I'm thrilled to introduce our new executive director. the guy who's going to take Haven Designs to the next level. Give a warm welcome to Nathan Hayes." The room broke into applause and Emma clapped along, sipping her coffee, until he walked in. Black suit tailored to perfection, dark hair swept back, and those piercing eyes scanning the place like he owned it. Her smile froze. It was him! The guy who'd stood in his kitchen that morning, sipping coffee and roasting her without mercy. Her cup nearly slipped from her hands, her heart slamming against her ribs. "No freaking way," she whispered, her face heating up like someone had turned on a furnace. Nathan stepped up to the front, his presence commanding the room without even trying. "I want Haven Designs to set trends, not follow them," he said, his voice low and firm. "I expect discipline, focus, no room for mistakes." His gaze slid over the team, landing on Emma for a split second. She could have sworn the corner of his mouth twitched, a tiny mocking smirk just for her. She ducked her head, pretending to fiddle with her laptop, her mind racing. "He knows it's me. I'm toast." The meeting rolled into team intros, and when it was her turn, she stood up, forcing her voice to stay steady. "I'm Emma Carter, interior designer, 5 years of experience, and I'm stoked to bring my best to Haven Designs." She flashed a tight, professional smile and sat back down, praying that was the end of it. Nathan's eyes locked on her, and he spoke up, his tone smooth but laced with something sharp. "Emma Carter," he repeated, letting her name hang in the air. "I hope you'll bring that creative energy to the table, and know when to rein it in." The room chuckled softly, a ripple of amusement that made her want to sink through the floor. He was totally calling out her drunken disaster from last night, and there wasn't a damn thing she could do about it. She gripped her coffee cup, forcing a nod, her cheeks burning. "Asshole," she thought, but she plastered on a grin and powered through the rest of the meeting. As Nathan launched into the project briefing, a swanky boutique hotel design, she barely heard a word. Her brain was stuck on one thing. The guy who'd seen her at her absolute worst was now her boss. Her career, her fresh start, her whole vibe, it was all hanging by a thread, and Nathan Hayes held the scissors. She stole a glance at him, his cold stare fixed on some spreadsheet, and swore to herself she'd survive this. But deep down, she had a sinking feeling this was just the beginning of a very messy ride. The first project at Haven Designs was a big one, designing the interior for a boutique hotel that screamed luxury but still felt fresh. Emma threw herself into it, determined to prove she wasn't just some hot mess Nathan could write off. She pitched her idea in the meeting room, standing tall with sketches in hand. "Picture this: an open layout with recycled materials, bold pops of color like mustard yellow and teal. It's edgy, it's sustainable, and it'll hook the younger crowd who want something real, not stuffy." Her voice buzzed with excitement, her eyes darting around for reactions. A few coworkers nodded, but Nathan's face was a stone wall. He leaned back in his chair, frowning, and cut in before she could even finish. "That's impractical," he said, his tone flat. "We're designing a high-end hotel, not a flea market stall. I need a concrete plan with numbers, not a vibe." Emma's stomach twisted, but she wasn't backing down. She gripped her sketches tighter, her nails digging into the paper. "It's not just a vibe. It's a breakthrough. Young travelers want bold, not boring. If we play it too safe, they'll check out faster than you can say beige." Nathan's eyes narrowed, and he tapped his pen on the table, each click like a ticking bomb. "Breakthroughs don't mean chaos. Do you have data showing these young travelers will book a room based on mustard yellow walls, or are you just guessing?" His voice was ice, and the room went dead quiet. Emma bit her lip hard, fighting the urge to snap. "They're sick of cookie-cutter luxury," she shot back. "I've seen the trends. 60% of our target demographic wants personality over perfection." "Trends aren't proof," Nathan countered, leaning forward now. "If we gamble on this and it flops, we're out millions. I need structure, not daydreams." Their stares locked, neither blinking, the air thick with tension. The rest of the team shifted uncomfortably, eyes bouncing between them like it was a tennis match. Finally, the HR director, a woman with a knack for defusing bombs, jumped in. "You're both onto something. Emma's got the spark, Nathan's got the spine. Why not blend them? We need this project to shine." Emma nodded grudgingly, but inside she was fuming. "I'd rather team up with a brick wall than this guy," she thought. After the meeting, she stormed into the break room, slamming her coffee mug on the counter so hard it sloshed. She caught her reflection in the glass cabinet and hissed, "You've got to outlast him, Emma. Don't let him win." Meanwhile, Nathan lingered in the hallway, hands in his pockets, muttering to himself, "She's a handful, but damn if she isn't intriguing." They were stuck working together now, and it was a disaster waiting to happen. Every step was a fight. Emma wanted vibrant paint swatches, Nathan demanded muted tones, she pushed for funky furniture layouts, he insisted on symmetry. One late night, she shoved a revised plan across his desk, smirking. "Here, 60% of clients under 35 love bold spaces. I've got the stats to back it up." He skimmed the pages, his expression unreadable, then slid it back. "Still not doable. Outdoor elements in your mock-up? What about weather? Noise? You got a backup? Or are we just hoping for sunshine?" Emma's face flushed hot. She took a deep breath, trying to keep her cool, but it didn't work. "You're not a boss, you're a freaking robot. Creativity's the soul of design. Your dry numbers kill it." Nathan's eyebrow twitched, the first crack in his armor. "You done?" he said, voice low. "Sit down. I don't waste time arguing with someone who can't keep it together." She slammed her hands on the table, coffee spilling over the edge. "It's not about keeping it together. It's about making something people feel." The room felt like a battlefield, their words clashing like swords. Neither noticed the spark buried under all that heat. Not yet, anyway. The boutique hotel project hit a snag. The client wanted a real feel for the space, so Emma and Nathan got roped into a last-minute trip to scout a potential location in a small town 2 hours away. It was supposed to be quick, professional, a chance to hash out their clashing ideas on site, but the second they piled into the rental car, it was chaos. Emma held her phone, GPS blaring, and pointed ahead. "Turn left at this intersection. I know the way." Nathan shot her a sideways glance, his own phone in hand. "Mine says right. Check yours again." She rolled her eyes, voice dripping with sass. "Oh, because you're always right about everything, huh?" He gripped the wheel tighter. "I trust tech over gut feelings. Pick one." "Fine, Mr. Perfect, go your way," she snapped, crossing her arms. He turned right, and 10 minutes later they were bouncing down a dirt road, potholes rattling the car like it was about to fall apart. Emma smirked, unable to resist. "Great job, boss. Now what's your genius plan?" Nathan's jaw clenched, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. "Shut it and check the trunk for a paper map," she laughed, dry and sharp. "A paper map? What are you, my grandpa?" He glared at her. "Smart people keep backups. Go look." She climbed out, popped the trunk, and surprise, nothing. "Empty," she called, slamming it shut. They sat back in the car, staring at each other in silence, surrounded by empty fields and the hum of crickets as the sun dipped low. Both phones were dead. No signal, no juice. Night crept in, and they finally stumbled into a tiny town nearby. The only hotel had one room left, a cramped little spot with a double bed and a rickety armchair. Emma clutched her bag like a shield, glaring at Nathan. "I'm not sharing a room with you, no way." He rubbed his temples, clearly done with the day. "You think I'm thrilled about this? I'll take the chair, relax." She huffed, stomping inside and claiming the bed, piling pillows down the middle like a fortress. "Cross this line, and I'll scream bloody murder," she warned, pointing a finger at him. Nathan eyed the pillow wall, and for a second, she thought she saw a flicker of a smile, gone as fast as it came. "Don't worry," he said, settling into the chair. "I'm not invading your turf." He cracked open his laptop, the screen's glow lighting up his stern face as he typed away. Emma flopped onto the bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Every creak of the old building made her jump. She glanced over at Nathan. He'd nodded off in the chair, head tilted at an awkward angle that looked painful as hell. She hated him, sure, but something about seeing him like that tugged at her. "Hey," she called softly, barely above a whisper. "That chair's a torture device. Come sleep on the bed." "Just stay on your side." He stirred, blinking at her like he wasn't sure he'd heard right. "You sure?" She turned away, hiding the flush creeping up her cheeks. "Yeah, but don't get any ideas, okay?" He hesitated, then slid onto the far edge of the bed, keeping a solid meter between them and the pillow line. The room went quiet, but the air felt different. Less hostile, almost soft. Morning hit, and Emma woke to an empty bed. On the nightstand sat a cup of coffee and a scrawled note. "Thanks for the bed. Don't spill this." She picked up the cup, took a sip, and caught herself smiling, just for a second, before shaking it off. "No, Emma," she muttered. "He's still the enemy. Don't go there." Outside, Nathan stood on the hotel's rickety porch, staring out at the sleepy town. "She's a pain in the ass," he grumbled to himself, "but maybe not the worst." The trip was a mess, but something had shifted, even if neither of them would admit it out loud. Back at Haven Designs after the disaster of a road trip, Emma and Nathan buried themselves in work, racing to prep for the client pitch. The office was a ghost town by 8 p.m., just the two of them left, hunched over laptops under the flicker of desk lamps. Emma stretched, her back screaming from hours of sitting, and decided she needed a caffeine lifeline. "I'm grabbing coffee," she said, her voice edged with reluctance. "Want anything?" Nathan glanced up, caught off guard by the offer. "Black, no sugar," he replied, short and to the point, then went right back to his screen. She grumbled under her breath. Typical bland dude, but nodded and headed out into the chilly night. The streets were quiet, just the rustle of leaves in the wind. Emma's mind wandered, tweaking her pitch in her head when she stopped dead. Under a street lamp, there was Nathan, on one knee, sleeves rolled up, cradling a scruffy little cat with a limp leg. He pulled a handkerchief from his pocket, wrapping it gently around the injury, his voice low and soft. "Hang in there, buddy. You'll be okay." The cat mewed, nudging his hand, and he scratched its head with a tenderness Emma couldn't square with the cold, nitpicking boss she knew. She ducked behind a tree, heart thudding. "Am I hallucinating?" she whispered. Nathan Hayes, Mr. Data and Discipline, playing vet to a stray. He stood, glanced around like he sensed someone watching, then carried the cat to a nearby vet clinic, handed it over with a wad of cash, and walked off. Emma's head was spinning as she grabbed the coffees and hurried back. She plunked Nathan's black no sugar on his desk without a word, but her eyes lingered on him, searching his face like it held some secret code. He looked up, frowning. "What? Something on me?" She shook her head quick. "Nope, nothing," she said, retreating to her spot. But her brain wouldn't let it go. That gentle guy under the street lamp, was that the real Nathan? Maybe he wasn't just a robot in a suit. The thought stuck with her, nagging, all night. Next morning, chaos hit. The client called in a panic. Some online rumor claimed their hotel was cutting corners with cheap materials. Nathan gathered the team, his voice tight but steady. "We've got 4 hours to fix this. Ideas. Now." The room froze, everyone too rattled to speak, but Emma shot up, phone already in hand. "I've got it. I handled a mess like this at my last job." She didn't wait for Nathan's okay, just dove in, calling the client's PR folks, drafting a punchy statement about their process, and pushing the team to pull together a quick mock-up proving their quality. She was a tornado, barking orders and typing like her life depended on it. Nathan stood back, watching her work, arms crossed, not saying a word. A rare move for him. 3 hours later, the crisis was dead. The client called back, gushing thanks, and the team erupted in cheers. As things calmed down, Nathan wandered over to Emma's desk, hands shoved in his pockets. "Nice work," he said, his tone softer than usual. "You're sharper than I gave you credit for." She looked up, startled, a tiny smile tugging at her lips. "Thanks. Just did what I had to." He nodded, lingered a second like he might say more, then walked off. "That coffee this morning," he tossed over his shoulder. "Did you make it?" She frowned. "No, just grabbed it. Why?" He shrugged. "Tasted better than usual, that's all." She stared after him, a weird warmth creeping in. Maybe he wasn't all steel and spreadsheets after all. The boutique hotel project was in its final stretch, and Emma and Nathan were stuck at the office late, polishing every detail for the big client handover. By 11 p.m., Emma's eyes were burning, her brain fried from staring at fabric swatches and floor plans. She slumped over her desk, groaning, "I'm gonna die if I don't get a break. Someone save me." Nathan glanced over, fingers still flying across his keyboard. "Go crash if you want. I can finish it solo." She lifted her head, glaring at him. "You think I'd tap out now? I just need a jolt." She hopped up, rummaged through the office mini fridge, and pulled out 2 beers. Leftovers from some team happy hour. "Here," she said, sliding one across his desk. "Work hard, play a little. You'll survive." Nathan eyed the can like it was a foreign object, his frown deepening. "I don't drink beer on the clock." Emma popped hers open, taking a swig. "We're off the clock for 5 minutes. Loosen up, boss. Aren't you exhausted?" He stared at her, hair a mess, eyes bright with that wild energy he couldn't ignore, then sighed, cracking the can open. "Just this once," he muttered, taking a sip and wincing. "Too bitter." She burst out laughing, the sound bouncing around the empty office. "Bitter's the best part. You really don't know how to live, do you?" He took another sip, and for once, he didn't snap back. Instead, he leaned back in his chair and said, "In college, I tried brewing my own beer. Total flop. My roommate said it tasted like swamp water." Emma's jaw dropped. Then she doubled over, clutching her stomach as she laughed. "Swamp water? Nathan Hayes actually screwed something up? I thought you came out of the womb perfect." He gave her a rare, lopsided smile. Small, but real. "I'm not perfect. I just don't let people see me mess up." The air shifted, lighter than it ever been between them. Another beer got cracked open, and they started talking. Emma told him about the time she accidentally set off the smoke alarm trying to cook for her sister, and Nathan admitted he'd once gotten tossed from a pottery class because his vase looked more like a squashed pumpkin. She laughed until tears streaked her face, and he couldn't hide the glint of amusement in his eyes, even if he tried. They drifted closer without noticing, empty cans rolling on the floor, the dim office lights casting a soft glow over them. Emma's laughter faded into a grin, and Nathan watched her, his gaze softer than she'd ever seen it. "You laugh a lot," he said, his voice low, almost warm. "I'm not used to that." She tilted her head, still smiling. "Because you're always so damn serious. Try it sometime. Might make you less scary." He raised an eyebrow. "I'm scary?" She nodded, but her tone softened. "Yeah, but not as much now. You're kinda okay, in a weird way." He went quiet, staring at her, the space between them shrinking to almost nothing. Their breathing synced up, the room dead silent except for that hum of something electric. Then, out of nowhere, Nathan leaned in and kissed her. Soft, tentative, like he wasn't sure he should. It wasn't some big, dramatic move, just a brush of his lips against hers. But it hit her like a shockwave. Her eyes widened, frozen for the few seconds it lasted. He pulled back, face flushed, a rare crack of panic in his voice. I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that." Emma didn't say a word. She shot to her feet, hands flying to her cheeks, her mind a jumbled mess. "I need air," she stammered, bolting for the door. She hit the balcony, the cold night snapping her awake, her heart pounding. "What the hell just happened?" she whispered, staring into the dark, wondering why she didn't hate it and why that scared her most of all. That kiss flipped Emma's world upside down. She barely slept, tossing and turning all night, her head spinning with questions. Why did Nathan kiss her? Was it a fluke? A beer-fueled slip? Or did he mean it? By morning, she dragged herself to Haven Designs with dark circles under her eyes and one goal: avoid him at all costs. She got there early, hunkering down at her desk like it was a bunker, burying herself in emails and pretending to be busy. Her hands shook on the keyboard every time she heard footsteps, terrified they'd be his. Nathan walked in like nothing had happened. Crisp suit, steady voice, doling out tasks to the team without a hitch. He didn't glance at her longer than he had to, didn't mention the night before. "We need the final mock-ups today," he said, cool as ever. "Emma, double-check the color specs, no slip-ups." He turned away before she could respond, leaving her nodding stiffly, her stomach churning. No slip-ups, she thought, her fingers hammering the keys so hard her coworker flinched. "Then why'd you kiss me and act like it's nothing?" She couldn't focus. Every time his voice carried across the room, her pulse spiked, and she hated herself for it. The day crawled by in a haze of awkward silence. She skipped lunch, staying glued to her desk while everyone else hit the cafeteria. In meetings, she parked herself as far from him as possible, doodling in her notebook to avoid his gaze. Nathan played it just as cool, kept it all business, firing off emails instead of talking to her face to face. His messages were dry as dust, same as day one. Revised the lighting plan, deadline's noon. It drove her nuts. Was that kiss just a game to him, she wondered, a dull ache settling in her chest? She'd started to think he might actually care, after the cat, the coffee, the late-night laughs. But now, maybe she'd imagined it all. By closing time, the office emptied out, but Emma stayed behind, staring at her screen until the words blurred. She rubbed her eyes, muttering, "I'm such an idiot. I thought he was different, thought he gave a damn. Guess I was just kidding myself." Her throat tightened, but she swallowed it down, refusing to cry over him. Meanwhile, Nathan wasn't as chill as he looked. In his office, he sat peering through the glass at her desk, his pen gripped so tight the ink bled onto his notes. That kiss wasn't a fluke. He'd wanted to do it for weeks, maybe longer, and last night it just broke free. But seeing her dodge him all day, head down, avoiding his eyes, it hit him hard. She doesn't want this, he told himself. I can't screw her over, not like I've been screwed before. He stepped out onto the office balcony, the night air sharp against his skin. "What do I do?" he muttered, staring at the city lights. "Push her away or—" He didn't finish the thought. Couldn't. Memories of her laughing over those beers, her voice cutting through his walls, kept looping in his head, and it messed with his usual calm. That same night, Emma hit a bar near the office to clear her mind. She nursed a cocktail in the corner, replaying the kiss, the way his eyes softened, the crack in his voice when he apologized. If he didn't mean it, why'd he look at me like that? She asked herself, then shook her head. Nope, I made it up. He's Nathan Hayes, cold as ice. Then she froze. Nathan walked in, alone, grabbing a whiskey and settling a few tables away, oblivious to her. He stared into his glass, mumbling, "I suck at this." She watched him, her heart thudding, torn between running over and running out. In the end, she slipped away before he spotted her, the cold wind outside biting at her as she walked home, doubting everything, especially herself. The hotel project wrapped up and the client loved it. Emma could finally breathe, thinking she'd earned a break after weeks of chaos. But trouble was brewing at Haven Designs, and it wasn't about work. She strolled into the office that morning, coffee in hand, feeling lighter than she had in days. Then she noticed it. The weird vibe. Coworkers flicked their eyes at her in a way, some whispering, others smirking. She frowned. brushing it off as she sat down, but the unease stuck. Her friend Mia, a junior designer, yanked her into a quiet corner before she could even open her laptop. "Emma, you heard the rumor?" Mia hissed, glancing around like they were in a spy movie. "What rumor?" Emma asked, her stomach sinking. Mia sighed, pulling out her phone and shoving it in Emma's face. It was a company chat thread, and the words hit like a slap. "Emma Carter's cozying up to the boss. That's why she's climbing the ladder so fast. Bet they got real close on that trip." Her hands shook as she scrolled, her face burning. "Who the hell said this?" she growled. "I busted my ass on this project, not some sleazy shortcut." Mia squeezed her shoulder. "I know you're legit, but it's spreading like wildfire. People are talking." Emma marched back to her desk, trying to keep it together, but the stares drilled into her all morning. One guy didn't even bother lowering his voice as she passed. "Some folks just wink at the boss and boom, promotion, must be nice." She clenched her fists, itching to snap back, but bit her tongue. What stung worse was Nathan. He'd been holed up in the meeting room since sunrise, silent as a ghost while this crap swirled around her. She glared at him through the glass, her chest tight. "You know this is happening and you're just sitting there," she thought, "letting me drown because you don't want the mess?" That kiss, the late nights, the flicker of something real, it all felt like a cruel joke now. By lunch, the rumor had legs. Someone even posted it on an anonymous company forum. Emma sat in the cafeteria, picking at her food, when she overheard it again. "She's good at sucking up, all right." That was it. She shoved her tray aside, bolted to the bathroom, and locked the door. Sliding down the wall, she hugged her knees, her voice breaking. "I don't deserve this." Tears slipped out, not just from the lies, but from Nathan's silence. She'd trusted him, let herself feel something, and now she was paying for it. But Nathan wasn't as detached as she thought. He'd caught wind of the rumor at dawn, his assistant had tipped him off, and he'd spent the morning digging for the source, wanting to shut it down clean. He didn't act right away because he hated half measures, but when he saw Emma flee the cafeteria, her face crumpled, guilt slammed into him. "I can't let her take this alone," he told himself, his hand gripping the table edge so hard it hurt. That afternoon, he called an all-staff meeting, no warning. Emma dragged herself in, sitting in the back, eyes red but chin up. Nathan stood at the front, his gaze sweeping the room, sharper than a blade. "I've heard the rumors about Emma Carter," he started, his voice low and lethal. "Let's clear this up. She earned her spot because she's damn good. She turned a PR nightmare around in 3 hours, something none of you pulled off. She worked herself raw on that trip, and without her, we'd have tanked." He paused, staring down the crowd. "I won't have slander here. Spread it again and you're out of Haven Designs. Got it?" The room went still, not a whisper. Then he looked at Emma, his tone softening. "Miss Carter, I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. You deserve better." He gave her a nod and stepped down, leaving everyone stunned. Emma sat there, heart pounding, his words washing away the weight she'd carried all day. Relief hit her hard, tears prickling again, but this time they weren't bitter. People started shuffling over, some apologizing, some clapping, but she barely noticed. Her eyes found Nathan in the corner, his back to her, like he didn't want her to see him. For the first time, she knew he cared, and it changed everything. After Nathan shut down the rumors, Emma went back to work with a calm she hadn't felt in weeks. But inside, she was a wreck. His words in that meeting kept replaying. He'd defended her, owned his mistake, put himself on the line. It wasn't just a boss thing. It felt personal, and that scared her. She wanted to talk to him, figure out what it all meant, but every time she caught his silhouette through his office window, her nerve faltered. "I can't keep spinning like this," she told herself, doodling circles on a scrap of paper late that night, alone at her desk. She'd decided to play it safe, keep her distance a little longer, let the dust settle. Nathan, though, couldn't take the quiet anymore. He'd watched her all day, head down, biting her lip as she worked, and it ate at him. Keeping her at arm's length hadn't protected her, it had just left her swinging in the wind, and he was done with that. He'd messed up, not just with the rumors, but with that kiss, with everything, and he had to fix it. That evening, as the office cleared out, he found her in the break room, stirring a coffee with a far-off look. He took a deep breath, knocked lightly on the door frame, and stepped in. She jumped, nearly dropping her mug. "Nathan, you need something?" Her voice wobbled, betraying her. "I need to talk," he said, closing the door behind him. He stood a few feet away, hands jammed in his pockets like he was holding himself together. "This can't wait." She set the mug down, gripping the counter, her heart racing. "If it's about work, email's fine." He cut her off, sharper than he meant. "It's not work, it's us." She froze, staring at him, her breath catching. "Us? What's that supposed to mean?" He stepped closer, his eyes locking on hers, not cold anymore, but raw, unguarded. "Emma, I'm sorry. From that first night, when you were drunk waving those scissors at me, I knew you were different. You're a mess, sure, but you're real. I couldn't shake you no matter how hard I tried." Her head tilted, disbelief creeping in. "What are you saying? You pushed me away because I'm different?" He nodded, his voice rougher now. "I pushed you away because I was scared. Scared I'd hurt you. Scared I didn't deserve you. I've got a past that's messed me up." She crossed her arms, wary but hooked. "What past?" He swallowed hard, like the words were stuck. "I was engaged once. She was a designer too, brilliant, ambitious. We built a project together, poured everything into it. Then she sold it out from under me to a rival firm, pinned the fallout on me. I lost my job, my trust, everything. After that, I swore I'd never let anyone in again, not like that. Until you." Emma's jaw dropped, her mind racing to catch up. "You? You've been hiding that this whole time?" He looked down, then back up, his hand trembling as it brushed her shoulder. "Yeah, that's why I'm such a control freak, why I kept you at a distance, but you broke through anyway." "That kiss? It wasn't a slip. I'd been fighting it for weeks, terrified you'd hate me, terrified it wasn't real." Tears welled in her eyes, spilling over as she pieced it together. His silence, his walls, all of it. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered, voice cracking. "You let me think you didn't care, let me twist myself up over it." "I was wrong," he said, stepping closer, his grip tightening on her shoulder. "I should have been there, when the rumors hit, from the start. I like you, Emma. I've liked you for a long damn time." The confession crashed over her, and she couldn't hold back any more. Tears streamed down as she shoved him, then pulled him in, burying her face in his chest. "You're such a jerk, Nathan Hayes. I thought I was nothing to you, but I like you too. God knows when it started." He froze, then wrapped his arms around her, holding tight like she might slip away. "I'm sorry," he murmured into her hair. "I don't want to lose you." She clung to him, sobbing, laughing, the weight of it all melting into something warm and real. After that night in the break room, Emma and Nathan didn't hide anymore. They were a couple, no games, and it felt right, even if they weren't shouting it from the rooftops at work. They figured they'd keep it low-key for a bit, dodge the office gossip mill, but Haven Designs was a petri dish for rumors. It took exactly one morning for the secret to blow up. Emma walked in, all glowy, carrying 2 coffees. One for her, one for Nathan. She slid his across his desk with a quick wink. "Black, no sugar, your style, boss." He smirked, softer than usual. "Thanks, Miss Carter." Their eyes lingered a beat too long, too sweet, and Mia, sitting nearby, caught it like a hawk. "Hold up," she said, pointing between them. "You two, something's up, right?" Emma flinched, nearly sloshing her coffee, while Nathan coughed and stared at his screen. But Mia wasn't letting it slide. "I knew it," she yelled, loud enough for the whole floor to hear. "They're dating." The office went pin-drop silent for 3 seconds, then exploded. What? No way! Enemies to lovers? People swarmed their desks, gawking like they'd walked off a movie set. Emma's face went red. Guys, chill. It's not a big deal. Nathan stood up, calm as ever, and put a hand on her shoulder. It's true, he said, his voice steady. We're together. Anyone got a problem with that? He scanned the room, his look daring someone to speak. No one did. He turned to Emma, a small smile breaking through. She's my girlfriend. End of story. The place erupted again. Claps, whistles. Mia practically tackling Emma with a hug. You two were made for each other since that first fight. From then on, they were the real deal, and damn good at it. At work, they clicked like puzzle pieces. Emma dreamed up wild, gorgeous designs, and Nathan made sure they actually worked. One day, prepping a new pitch, she threw out, neon accents, retro vibe, big impact. Nathan scrunched his nose. Neon? Sounds like a dive bar. She fired back, that's the point. Retro's hot right now. They went back and forth, but ended up with a killer mix. Neon pops against sleek neutrals. The client ate it up. Outside the office, they got tight. Nathan started brewing her coffee every morning, grumbling when she added too much sugar, while Emma dragged him to taco joints, laughing when he winced at the grease. Their bickering turned playful, warm. One lunch break, she was mid-bite of a sandwich when he snatched the last piece. You're hogging it, he said. Let me help. She lunged at him, yelling, thief! They wound up tangled on the office couch, laughing so hard they couldn't breathe. A year flew by, and Haven Designs was killing it. Emma snagged creative director. Nathan stepped up as CEO when the old boss retired. They moved into a cozy apartment, where mornings were a circus of petty spats. This coffee's bitter as hell, he'd mutter. Bitter's the best, deal with it, she'd snap. They'd argue over dumb stuff, blanket hogging, TV pics, who forgot the trash, but it never lasted. He'd pull her close, mumbling, you're a nightmare, and she'd grin. You're worse. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs, and that was enough. The night before their one-year mark, the team threw a party. Emma got tipsy, shucker, and crashed on a hotel couch, slurring, Nathan, don't touch my tacos. She woke up with a killer hangover, wrapped in a blanket, groaning, did I black out again? Nathan sat beside her, holding water, a grin tugging at his lips. Morning, fiancé. She bolted upright. Fiancé? What? A silver ring glinted on her finger. He laughed, pulling her in. You were hammered last night, yelling I had to marry you. I put the ring on to shut you up. But I mean it. You in? She stared, then threw her arms around him, laughing through tears. Yes, you sneak. But next time ask me sober, or I'm grabbing those scissors again. He hugged her tight, whispering, scissors or tacos, just don't leave me. They sat there, tangled in each other, sunlight spilling in, knowing they'd gone from strangers to forever, and it was one hell of a ride.